Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Plastic Hype Show. Well, I'm hyped about plastic. It's kind of like an addiction, and it's therapeutic. And I wish to share this love with everyone else out there. And the reason going for this channel or what we're trying to produce is I just want to play it forward because when I got into this hobby, I got a lot of help from people, and there are lots of wonderful characters out there in this community. And Tom, my special guest today, Tom Strachan. He's also one of these great people in the community that I think about because how I met him was at one of the local, here in Australia, local tournament down at Miranda. Well, somewhere in New South Wales, so the people who don't know it. And he doesn't work for the place that I played at, which was Dice Arcade. I'll mention that, right? This video is not sponsored, but I just want to do a quick shout out for Tom because I've met him through this event. He was just really a cool guy. I had no idea what I was doing, and he helped me with lots of info, answered a lot of dumb questions like, can I bring this? Can I bring that? That was half a year ago, and he left such a strong impression. I just want to collaborate with Tom and people like Tom and give back to the community. So hopefully one day you guys trying to start, maybe we'll hit a topic that you'll be interested in and we can help you. So that's what that's all about. And over the intro, so I've just introduced Tom briefly, and let's talk about today's session. Hello, Tom. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, mate. Glad to be back on here. Just like you said, the community in AoS is pretty legit. Everyone's for the most part, everyone's super friendly. If you are new to the game, it's always good to seek out your local community. Usually a local game store can point you in the right direction. Otherwise, there's a ton of Facebook communities. My background is that I've been running a monthly AoS tournament out of Dice Arcade in Miranda, South Sydney.
Really good ones too.
Yeah, it's been pretty. We've got good feedback, and we do have a bunch of regulars. We're about 18 players. That's how many we can fit in our local game store. But the community that we do have is really strong, and it's always good to see everyone.
And please, I'm going to plug Tom's events here. He didn't ask me to, but I want to because they're so much fun. I know there are lots around, and this year they're more than ever. So far, what I've seen in here, lots of 1 day and 2 days. And the ones I've been to for Tom's events are all 1 days. They've been super fun. Tickets seems to go pretty quickly.
They usually go pretty quickly. And actually, speaking of tickets, tickets for my event in end of next month. Well, yeah, it's next month. End of next month, 25th of March is going to be AoS in 3D March 2023. Tickets will go on sale sometime tomorrow. So if you, join the Facebook event, that's where the tickets will be posted. Additionally, my other event that is coming up is I've been asked by the event organizer for Clash of the Titans up in Cherrybrook in New South Wales to run their AoS part of their convention. It's a 2-day event up in Cherrybrook. I'll get you the link, John, so you can
please do that
it in the video description. That's going to be tickets are sold in waves of 32. So as soon as the tickets sell out, they'll allocate more. So we'll try and get it as big as possible.
Okay, now, for those of you who are watching, thank you for watching, whether you're joining us live or watching after the fact. We've totally done it the other way around. Usually we should plug stuff at the end and talk about the topic first, but I got so excited I totally forgot the order of things. So thanks for tuning in. All right, so on today's topic, which is getting ready for the News Generous Handbook, which just came out recently. So let's give some context. Today, what we're going to go through is not every single rule, and it's probably not for a straight beginner who has never played before, because just going over the rules itself is probably a 6-hour video or longer. And talking about what you like, that's another 2 hours, so we'll be here for the whole day. So that's not what this is about. Is if you have played a previous version of the General's Handbook, or an earlier version of AoS 3.0, and you want to jump right back in, hopefully this will be helpful to you. So I have just went to Tom's event last weekend, still fresh in my mind, and I want to share some of my thinking process, what I've done, and things to look out for, because I have failed on your behalf. You don't need to fail on the day. So hopefully you'll get more 3-0s on the day. Right. So without too much further ado, Tom, do you have anything to add before we jump in?
Yeah, I think that you actually did pretty well in my last weekend. Didn't you come 5th or something, or 4th, or?
I don't actually know, because I was really in the
Oh
rush.
yeah, you had to
Yeah.
bail. Yeah.
Yeah. So did I?
Yeah. So we're not going to be
Oh.
touching anything on the core rules at all. But so this is for someone who's somewhat familiar, played enough games to know how the game actually works. We'll basically be covering all the new realm rules, including battle tactics, grand strategies, battalions, stuff like that. We'll also be going over a little bit of list building, I think.
And one other thing as well is why I thought it was a good idea to invite Tom to this session is, when I was before the event, I still found myself asking, private messaging the organizer, hey, can I do this? Is this legal? And then on the day I also did the same. So maybe Tom can share some insights.
That's the right thing to do, though. If you're unfamiliar with a certain rule or how the tournament organizer is going to rule on something, and you've checked the errata, you've checked the FAQ that is always released on Warhammer Community, and you can't find specifically how he would rule on something, it's best to always ask for clarification. And that might if the tournament organizer will give you their best knowledge of that ruling, it might even change on the day, but at the very least, there'll be mutual confusion.
Additionally, that's a good point. Yeah.
Additionally, always read the players pack. The players package is important, even if they usually don't change too much between my tournaments, but with terrain rules being the way they are in AoS, and by terrain rules I mean a lack of terrain rules, there's always usually going to be some kind of either deployment adjustment or just to speed certain things along. Or I know at CanCon, for example, they ruled that you could measure anywhere from the torso for range. So if you had a unit that was on a piece of terrain, you could actually measure from the head anywhere on the torso of the unit below to the base of the unit above, which made a lot of the issues of models halfway up terrain a non-issue. It solved issues before it began.
Maybe more to dive in now. For the people watching live, I guess you guys got a benefit. You can feel free to ask them questions, but otherwise, if you don't have any live questions, we'll just go with the pace and the high level, the level that we aim to go at. All right, without further ado, I have all right, I just wanted to show that. Okay, let's get into the couple of slides, animated ones I have prepared, because I think no talk is complete without a deck. All right, here we go. So I think the first thing to think about the new General's Handbook is, what is list building, right? What kind of things you need to consider compared to the previous versions? And I'm going to kick off with GC, the Galatian Champion. I think this is the most important rule. If this is one thing I could teach my friend how to play the new version, it would be, you got to know what GCs are. We couldn't call GC, Galatian Champion, for the rest of the video. So GC is anything that is less than 10 wounds, right? Not 10 or less, but less than 10. That's important, because some models are 10 wounds. And then it can't have a mount, and it's not unique. So I just took a photo of my Stormcast the other day. From the left, Lord Imperator, he's a good GC. Andraste in the middle, less than 10 wounds, but it's unique, so that doesn't count. And then Knight Arcanum on the right.
They did also clarify any unit with a companion. Usually that does count as a mount, but they've ruled that units with companions, that does not. They are still GCs, and they don't count as mounts in this ruling. So for Edeneth players, they're the ones I'm familiar with. Almost all their heroes, ground heroes, have companions. They are still considered GCs unless they're unique.
Oh, that is a good point, because otherwise Lord Imperator, quote unquote, wouldn't be GC because he has a companion. and a lot of the crew boys ones that I also have sitting in the back. Yeah, they're GCs as well. Okay, so companion doesn't count, so that's important. Now, so why is that important? It is important because that has to do with how you score. I just took this random photo on the left. Don't worry about that. Well, the first thing to think about, of course, is yes, your favorite model, which is my current favorite model. I broke her wings today, but anyway, she is awesome, but she is not a GC. Clearly, she's unique. Got a mount. Way too much wounds. Yeah. Now, why would that be important? Is the battle tactics is what the game is won on, right? You got to get points. So you get points through two ways in the game. You control objectives and you do the special battle tactics and whatever it's on the map. High level speaking. So if 4 out of the 8 battle tactics in this season requires GC and you don't have enough GC, that's bad luck, right? And some of these require 2 GCs. Actually, I did a typo on the second point. It's 2 out of the 4 of these require 2 GCs. So it's not just 1 GC.
Yeah,
so what does that mean?
Yep. Yeah, I managed to. I took a look at the battle tactics, and from what I can see, there's about 3 or 4 of them that are pretty difficult to get. In fact, compared to last season, battle tactics seem way tougher. I would recommend to keep an eye on what your battle tactics are. A lot of them are fairly doable, especially for some armies. For the GHB battle tactics, desecrate their lands is still in there.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Which is fairly easy to get, especially since so many of these battle plans are still enemy territory. It's almost half the map. Additionally, after that, I reckon cunning maneuver is fairly doable as long as you have a GC. We'll get to Tunnel Master later, but if you do take the new GHB champion trait or whatever it's called, that will allow an easy cunning maneuver first turn, or maybe even later in the game. I then said after that, pretty much the middle difficulty battle tactics. I reckon eye for an eye gaining momentum, and this one's mine. It's similar difficulties. It's all really more based on your list. So if you've got I think this one's mine. It doesn't require you to have it. Yeah, the general isn't required to be a GC. So I think that one's the easiest if your general is a big fighty monster, right? So if you've got like a Maw Crusher or a Mega Boss on Maw Crusher and Iron Jaws, and he's your general, you're going to get that real easy. But all of them are fairly, they're opportunistic because you do need to be sure that you're going to kill something, but they're actually doable. The rest are the ones that you mentioned before, which require a GC, and they're all situational. Some of them require 2, and it's just absolutely insane. Some of them, I call it, there's one, lead the assault.
Yes.
You can't get these on 4 out of the 12 battle tactics. And
what do you mean by that, Tom?
You can only lead the assault. It's a battle tactic. You need to have at least you need to control at least 2 of the objectives in enemy territory, and they are both contested by friendly GCs. So not only do you need to have 2 GCs, you need to have available objectives in your enemy's territory. And sorry, I didn't say you could only do that on. You couldn't do that on 4. You can only do that on 4 of the battle tactics. 4 of the battle plans.
That's crazy.
One of those battle plans is twists and turns, which is just a nightmare battle plan in itself. So
I haven't heard any good things about that one yet. Yeah,
we'll get into that. Oh yeah, I've got a bit to say on that one, but if you ignore twists and turns, which I think a lot of tournament organizers, they're not even going to put it in their battle packs. You've really got 3 battle plans that you can even do that one on. So
and I think that what's also interesting is well, I guess we'll get to the battle part later, but having a little bit of buffer and find out ways how you can protect your GCs, I think is important, because if you only bring 2, like the bare minimum, which is okay. You lose one, you immediately can't do a lot of the battle tactics you have available, right? Which kind of sucks. Well, it sucks to be you. Yep.
Yeah, just I mean, everyone's in the same boat. There are some players with easier battle tactics. I would just say if you're preparing for a tournament, once you know what the battle plans are, which you should know a few days before the tournament, kind of get in mind what you're going to be able to try to do in your first few turns. If you've got one that's a freebie from your battle tome, that's always an option. Desecrate's almost always an option unless it's a Realmstone Cache, which is that tiny little deployment zone. Cunning Maneuver. It seems like a lot of people are taking Tunnel Master, and it might be purely to get a free Cunning Maneuver. And also just to yeet your one of your GCs to safety. But yeah,
and you can do the lead to assault, right? Because you tunnel over to the other side. Hopefully, you capture something.
You need
moving
to
our GC to contest it. Yeah, you need two. Yeah.
You need two of them. So firstly, you need to be playing 3 of the battle tactics that are available that you are able to achieve it in. You need to have one GC already on there, and you need to tunnel master the other one to the other side. So sure, it could happen, but I still think that it's one of those just absolutely just ignore it for the most part. If it's there, I mean, if you've got the opportunity to do it, obviously do it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. All right. Now,
if anyone does ever see it, message it to me because I don't think we're going to see it.
All right. Now that we've got a TO here, I'm going to put you on the spot, Tom. Hopefully it's not a hard one. So I've got this picture here, Lario. She's my favorite at the moment because I'm painting her. Even shows she breaks all the time. So she can summon a unit, right?
Yes.
If she summons a unit, which is a GC profile unit, is she counts as GC? So if she summons a branch witch, would you in your tournament count her as a GC?
Yep.
She is, right?
Because
as long as you hit those criteria in the last slide.
There's nowhere in the special rules where it says that they need to be part of your army before they're on the battlefield. So they would count as a GC. All they need to be considered a GC, just like in the last edition. Any unit that met the criteria to be a Galatian veteran was a Galatian veteran if it met those requirements. Same thing with Gout Champion. So she can summon in a Gout Champion. So that is a good point.
That's
she can actually
cool.
just that's cool. That's a cool if you have the opportunity. Though then you're summoning a branch witch. Which might be a bit of a waste. If you've already got
at the end
like
to get the 2
else.
points.
I've
also noticed, I mean, I had to go back and read it before, but it doesn't actually say monster can't be a GC, right? It just says less than 10 wounds and no mount.
Yeah, but is there a monster under 10 wounds?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll start selling some new ones. Yeah.
Well, I can't see that happening, but as it currently stands, I don't think that there is any unit in the catalog that is also not only a monster but also under 10 wounds. It would be a pretty weak monster because
some of the Warcry ones, I forgot the name. Like there's one of them that stuns you, or you can roll 6 and then you strike. But anyway, so I'll look at that later. But anyway, just popped in my head. All right. So yes. Thing about the battle tactics and strategy is the same, so you got to keep that in mind when you're building your list. Otherwise,
all in all, not a super fan of these battle tactics. I think that not a lot of thought went into some of them.
Oh, you think so? I think they're harder, so I kind of like it.
No, they are harder, but you can make things hard without also making them just like undoable in almost every in most of your games. You're not able to do one of the battle tactics. Because it doesn't fit with the battle plan. So I think that some of them didn't have a lot of thought put into it.
Yeah, okay. Well, better for Daughters of Cain then.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. New year, new army. Daughters of Cain. Think of you, Bruce. All right. So next one, new battalions, right? I think these are interesting because
we missed grand strategies.
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. You have something to add in grand strategies? Yeah, let's go back.
Yeah,
to that
I don't think we went over them at all. But with the grand strategies, not a lot to talk about with these. We've still got the two that are pretty much going to be taken. If you're going to take a GHB grand strategies, I think everyone's going to either take Defend What's Ours or take What's Theirs. Otherwise, you're taking a Battle Tome grand strategy. I've looked at in the last month a few 5-day events. Pretty much all the top players, they're either taking one of those options, either Defend What's Ours, take What's Theirs, or one of the easiest Battle Tome grand strategy.
Then I would like to add that last weekend I picked Survivor's Instinct, and it worked quite well.
I mean, it's not impossible to run the others, but
it's hard.
That's just what I'm saying. I think that the other ones are a bit easier. With Survivor's Instinct, when a battle ends, you complete this grand strategy. It's a model pick to be your general. It's contesting an objective. Yeah, that's tough, man. That's well, depends on the general you choose.
Yeah.
Which one did you choose?
I had Sylvaneth, right? So they can tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know that, but you chose the Warsong Revenant.
Yeah, Warsong Revenant.
Yeah, okay, that's not bad because she gets you can just teleport her out. And is it in wholly outside? Yeah, wholly outside your territory. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Although there are some battle plans that you just won't be able to get it on. So just give me a second. If you look at the battle plan.
Okay, let's have a look.
So just give me a second. So in certain battle plans, and they're good battle plans, they look like they're fun to play. I think Jaws of Gillette, the one where terrain starts disappearing. All they need to do is, if they go second twice, take away those two, and then you've lost your grand strategy. And there's a few others where, so I mean, it's not common for a lot of them, but like for position over power, they just need to make sure that they've got their own objective in their territory at the end of the game. And if they screen you out of that, then you've lost that as well. I just think I think that
true.
With Sylvaneth as well, if you do take What's Theirs instead, because you can have so many teleports in your army, you can get them in your opponent's territory fairly
teleport
easily.
them at the end,
If you're running tree revenants, if you're running tree revs, you've pretty much got that.
No, very true. Yeah,
you'll have at least 3. If you have no one in their territory, you can have at least, if you're running 2 tree revs, that's what I run, that's why I'm thinking of 2. You can at least have 3 units in their territory. And if you have a Durthu or any other tree lord, they can do the same thing.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, actually, you're right. So some of these, that's why it's good to have you here, because I'm not the organizer. I don't read all the battle plans properly. There's a number of them that you can really block.
A lot of them can be denied, and I think that's why people are just sticking with Defend What's Ours and take What's Theirs. So if your army's offensive, you'll do take What's Theirs. If your army's defensive, you do Defend What's Ours. A lot of armies are just taking their, like I said, their own grand strategies. Like Lumineth, it looks like they're either taking Defend What's Ours or what's the other one that they take? It's like Scenari Illumination, whatever that is. I think it's a spellcasting one. Like Khorne, they're taking Take What's Theirs. Tzeentch, as always, are taking Master of Destiny, because I think that's all you need is like 9 on your Destiny dice, and you're getting a free one from Kairos every turn. So that's basically a free grand strategy, unless you're having a really bad time. But it's Tzeentch, so they rarely have a bad time. But that's sorry.
Okay, good.
Grand strategies.
Good point. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is the new stuff. All right, so I think this is the top 2 is interesting to me, especially the one on the top left. The key to victory is basically a rule that says all your GCs can't be shot if they're right next to a battle line, right? Well, the actual text is a bit longer, but I distill that to that. And desperate action, I think, is super interesting. People have talked about it already. But why I think it's worth thinking about is if you've got heroes that can take multiple, like really benefit from taking multiple heroes' actions, you should definitely look into that. So that basically says if you go second.
It's also super important for armies like Slave to Darkness and Beasts, who have their own battle tone heroic actions now. I know that Desperate Action, it's a game changer. And I mean, people already want to go take the second battle round in the first turn so that they defend themselves from getting double turned, and they also have the opportunity to double turn. But having those a good start with being able to do your own battle tone, especially slaves. I know that they've got one where they can force their own to roll on the Eyes of the Gods table. And then they can get one of their...
That's Slave to Darkness. Yep. Okay, yep.
Yeah, Slave to Darkness. They have two new personal heroic actions. One of them is they get... it's some boon to the Eyes of the Gods table, which is it's a buff table that they can roll for. And then there's the second one, which is they roll... if it's a spellcaster, they can roll 3 dice for their spells and choose the top 2. I think that's it. I might be wrong. It might just be 3 dice for spellcasting. I'm not sure. I need to actually read. I shouldn't be talking about it if I don't know about it. Anyway, I think that the Gao champions that can't be shot, the key to victory, I think it's less important because heroes, they're still super vulnerable to offensive spells.
Yeah, you can
which is what I think.
Smaller ones. Yep.
Well, I think for the smaller heroes, killing them is way easier with spells. Shooting is always very whiffy because you already have -1 to hit anyway. Them just not being able to be shot, it just basically means it just changes what the target's going to be. Still doing pretty much the same damage, maybe on an even more important target. But I think Desperate Action is much more important.
Yeah, but Desperate Action is super important. Well, in the last week when I played the Sylvaneth, so my war song's pretty much always glued to the Dryads. That was pretty good. Because they couldn't snipe off my war song, they have to really take it out.
Okay, so you don't deploy your war song inside an overgrown, inside the trees?
No, I didn't. I try to use my tree as a big block where I can teleport to and out, and it's kind of like my defensive line. Well, that's how I try to play it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it can happen. Usually, you can be lucky and get a overgrown, or choose hide them behind an overgrown piece that you choose, because you don't just need them next to the trees.
Yeah. But okay, well, I have a slide right at the end about my list, so we can talk about.
Yeah, okay, we can get into it then.
Yeah.
Okay, battalion.
Yeah. Let's go on with the battalions. So, any worth taking here? You think?
I think that we're back to GHB 21. Pretty much, people take 1-drops if they can. Especially if their army really... that people want to take 1-drops if their army is really suited to either choose to go first or second, or they want to prevent their opponent from always getting to choose. I think that sharpshooters is... I don't think people are going to take it unless they're just doing a theme army, or I don't think it's very competitive at all. Gal veterans...
It sounds good on paper though, right? Sharpshooting. Like if I'm running,
but like it's such a small thing as well. I don't think it's as important. Like obviously, it's important to, if you can kill the GCs, then you're denying a lot of points that can be made. Yeah. But I don't think that that's going to win the game. I don't think it's worth. I think having the. I think even taking. I think having a lower drop is more important because your sharpshooters is still going to be doing damage, just maybe not to the GCs. Right. It's not like you're I mean, monsters are usually a big target for shooters anyway. Or even like just to weaken elite units. So
yeah.
I just don't think... I mean, I might be wrong. There might be certain units that maybe even in like a Beasts of Chaos unit, you could because they can shoot from a board edge. If you're trying to really snipe something in the back line and you want it to be a GC, that might be a situation where you take it. And because they deploy so much they can deploy as much as they want off the table.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
They are less dependent on needing to be a low drop. So obviously, I mean, there might be a situation where someone's like playing 4D chess, and there are a few parallel dimensions ahead of us. but I don't think for the most part we'll see many Galatian sharpshooters. Galatian veterans, on the other hand, I think is going to be used quite a bit, especially for because with these Gal vets, it basically will allow elite. Well, obviously it will allow big chaff units to have a second row attacking.
Yeah.
But for
That's
elite
huge for
units
some,
with
yeah.
short range weapons, that's really going to help. Like you could take so we'll talk about Sylvaneth again. So Kernots, you could take the sword Kernots instead.
Mhm.
They can
Yeah.
fight in 2 rows instead of having. I usually run sides because I like the rend, but and they have 2-inch attack. So having the 1-inch attack, you'd be able to fight in 2 rows with the Kernot.
Yeah.
So it incentivizes elite units for reinforcing them. If you can take them in
Right.
battle line, that's an even better option.
And I had a different thought,
yeah.
but in a similar line on this, I think it's a great opportunity to play some of your models that you otherwise wouldn't be able to play. Like maybe next season, GVs are gone, so Galatian veterans are gone, and now they're back to 1-inch. And man, you're not going to run 6 swords with one inch. Well, maybe, right? But less likely.
No,
a lot
probably
less
not. But the other thing but I do like that they kept it in the game. I'm really glad that they you have to pay for it now as opposed to just getting it. But and they got rid of bounty hunters, which is great. It's basically letting people bring back their kind of more horde battle line armies. I mean, I've shelved my Soul Blight, but zombies were basically a no-go for the last 6 months, which was not a lot of fun for me. But I do like the Gal veteran battalions, and I think that they're valuable to take in certain lists.
Yeah. Okay, I got a question for you, Tom. So the Galatian command, where they can fight together, so where the champion has this one bodyguard which is dedicated in the unit, they can fight together. What do you think of that one?
Look, it's definitely interesting. It's you do kind of have to because of how the ability works, and we'll get into it later. But having them in a combat with if you do have a powerful GC with a heavy elite unit, and they pile in and they charge unit, fight but don't kill them, and then they survive, in that specific situation, they'll be very powerful because then you'll be able to, it opens up using those command abilities the next turn.
Right.
But I think I don't know how valuable that's going to be. Like, in my experience, I can't see that happening very often. But that being said, I don't play. I think the only situation that you would want to run something like that would be perhaps in a big war with the mega boss on foot, or there might be some Stormcast hero that would be suitable with a bodyguard like that. I just don't know how it would fit. None of the armies that I've run in my experience, I think that I would ever run, because I don't run any foot heroes or anything that would be a GC that would want to ever be in combat.
Yeah, okay. When I first saw this one, I was thinking, well, if I run Gardas Steel Soul from Stormcast, he's got that 12-inch bubble. Now, when you pair him up with some bodyguards, they can go in and do some damage and still be reliable. But then I guess they're very slow, right? Which is different play style. Okay, so we've got more to go. Let's go through the next one first, and then we can come back to some of these ones, because we're still talking about
we're still talking about it.
List to build and what we can do here. Now, I guess talking about the first one, yes, strike at opening. I don't know. I think that's really cool. If you're going second and somehow
they're really situational though. So strike at the opening and both lead by example. They each will take a command point, and for the most part,
wait, isn't strike at opening a heroic action? I think you can just just use it. Well, let's trust my my new book that I just got last week. Yep.
No, they're both heroic actions.
Heroic actions, okay. Just
Yeah, you are right. So you can carry out one of the following heroic actions.
now though, can it be your wait? Can it be?
See, yeah, you would need to go second. See, I misread it. Yeah, I misread it. I thought that they were, for whatever reason, I thought they were command abilities. But no, you would need to choose both of these heroic actions. And you would only be able to choose them when going second. You could do the strike at the opening, but you would only really
you can't
want
do
to
the
ever
next
use
one.
that. You wouldn't be able to use the lead by the example unless you're going second.
Yeah, you can't.
Now the problem with that though is also that's so situational.
It is, but let's say if it's your
bodyguard.
turn, can I do it? Right?
No. Yeah, you can use strike at the opening, but you can't use the second one.
Okay.
Unless you have some other rule that gives you a second heroic action, which I don't believe exists. But the other thing, it's so situational. You need to have survived a enemy attack, right? The previous turn, which was your. Yeah, I just don't know when you would use this, and then you're taking the bodyguard and what's the other one? You're taking the Galatian command, just so that you have the opportunity to use this.
Okay, so here's a question, right? Good thing we got a Tio here. Yep. Oh, my camera stopped working. All right, I gotta fix that. Now, if it's your turn, right? It's your heroic action phase first, and then it's my heroic action, right? In your turn, can I get my my hero to hit you? Can I get my arc
Yeah, you can.
With strike at opening, right?
Yeah, correct.
And then potentially during your turn,
I can strike at the opening and then lead by example.
Yeah, but I can only do lead by example during my turn, right? Because when it's your turn, I don't get the extra point yet.
No. So
or do I get
it's
it
only if you're going second in no. So
it's late at night in Sydney. Yeah.
No. It's just So if you're taking the second turn in the current battle round, at the
in
start
your
of
hero phase, you get
So you can pick one. So it would have to be in your turn
to do lead by example. Yeah. So just in case it's confusing for anyone else out there, it is.
So they would have needed to charge you when they went first in the battle round.
Yeah.
And then during when it's bottom of the round and it's your turn, only then would you then be able to use both strike at the opening and then lead by example.
Man, what
a mess. Eh? Yeah, when's that going to happen? Like, if it does happen, it'll be really cool, but I don't see it really happening.
Well, go in with a 3+ save hero, and then put on Finest Hour, get Arcane Shield on, get all of that on. Maybe you'll survive another day.
Yeah, maybe.
Is it worth it though? Yeah, but because you can do other meaningful stuff with your heroic action, right? Well, necessarily.
Yeah, that's true. Like if you're just running around trying to get it, and I don't think it'll win you a game either. In the event that you get into this situation that you can't do it, cool. You kill the unit. You might kill the unit that you're against, depending on how strong your GC and bodyguard is. But and then that frees up their movement, I guess, for that turn. But and then they also have strike last, so you're decentralized to even charge into any other unit during that turn. So let's say that the GC and their bodyguard, they kill whoever it is by using strike at the opening and lead by example. Then they move towards another objective, only to charge into them and then get clapped down because they have strike last.
Unless you're Sylvaneth or someone else that can give the other opponent the last strike. But what are the chances?
Yeah, but you can't even... Yeah. You would need then... But Durthy wouldn't be one of these ones that has strike last.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. It's just...
So there you go. Don't build your list around that.
I think that it might actually be a real valuable thing if they didn't give you strike last. You might want to consider it, but it gives you strike last. So
that would be too good, right? Wow. Then they'll sell a lot more GCs. Yeah.
All it's really giving you is the opportunity to then move/run your guys onto an objective maybe afterwards. But I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I mean,
That being
in
said,
terms of list
everyone should
building,
take everything I say with a grain of salt because
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not.
yeah. Well, that's
Yeah,
our opinions, right? And
yeah.
yeah. So I guess
Someone might
the,
find that this is super useful on the list.
so the current conclusion is probably don't build your list around that because we're still in the list building part. All right.
If you
So
have the
then
opportunity to use it, then yeah, maybe. Like if you have a really
Yeah.
strong hero and strike at the opening might be super useful. If your opponent, it's
but-
definitely an option.
yeah. But once again, don't build your list around it. I think is the
Yeah.
key message here, right?
think
It's nice
that-
to use when you can use it.
Yeah, I think
Now,
Random
what-
Teeth of Gallet might be worse if we're moving on to that.
Yes, that's the next one. I think some units can benefit from that, right? Like
There's only-
Warzone Revenant, because you
Yeah.
can cast a spell technically,
And anything with a spell portal.
and a spell portal, yeah. Because if you do pull off a spell portal, like if some armies were running a spell portal anyway, they will be extra valuable. Because if I was the enemy,
valuable.
I would really think twice about getting into range with that.
Well-
but still, is 12-inch. That's another key.
You would need to. I was trying to rack my brain earlier today thinking about this because I haven't actually seen it used or used it in a game yet. But having an actual wizard in the situation where they're 12 inches from an objective, they don't have any units on the objective themselves, and the enemy has units on the objective. That's it, and that situation would be quite rare. So the only time you would really want to use this spell is during a spell portal or through a tree as Sylvaneth, which in that case is super valuable. Because it can do crazy amount of damage. Like a lot of the time, yeah.
Yes, and I did use that last weekend.
Through a tree, right?
Yeah, through a tree. I used a war song to do a big bomb first, so 9 inches, and then I bombed the objective. That was brutal.
So what would be even crazier? So if you gave the war song Arcane Tome, gave him the snipe spell. What's it called? The Tunnels of something. It's a Sylvaneth. It's a Sylvaneth spell. Where let me find it for you.
The
It dwells below. So it's basically it's basically a single target of their War Scroll spell, but 12 inches.
Yep.
So then they would have 3 like overwhelmingly high mortal wound damaging spells. So that'd actually be pretty cool. That'd be pretty fun to play if you got it
Something
off.
run next time, Tom.
I'm going to build a list around that. But yeah, so very situational. And only if you are running either Sylvaneth with the War Song and Spell Singer, or something with Spell Portal.
Yeah.
So
extend
otherwise, don't even think about it.
Yeah, 12 inches too tough. And you hit yourself as well, right? Because it says every unit.
Any unit on there. So if you have any units on there and you don't want them to, because you know what's going to happen, your enemy units are going to. You're not going to roll a 4+ for them, and every single one of your units you're going to roll a 4+ for them. That's what's going to happen if you cast that spell.
Yeah. Okay, last one. I didn't get you use it at all. So no retreat, no surrender. It's basically if someone gets stuck in, you can potentially do extra attack. I think that could be very useful, but I never.
Super powerful for a defending unit, especially if like your opponents only just made it in. If they've just made it in and you know that they're going to hit you first and they don't have any other options.
Yeah.
And you have good range, that would be super useful. So as long as you're.
But this one's hard though, right? Because it says at the beginning of the combat phase, so you got to pick before they.
Yeah, I was going to say if you are going to do it, you need to make sure that you're going to survive the hit.
The onslaught first, yeah.
Yeah. So it's good if you already have if you have a 3 or 4+ unit. And they've got Mystic Shield on. Great opportunity to use. You can give them another save stack, but if you think that they're going to survive, and then you can clap them back, pretty good idea, I think.
And this one though doesn't need a GC, so I like that, which means some units can really benefit from it because you can get a bigger unit to do it. I think that's cool. But I mean, in terms of list building, would I build anything around this? I mean, not that I've got extensive knowledge here, but I
No, I think it's
probably
just
wouldn't.
no, you just want to use it opportunistically.
Okay. All right, looks like my camera is freezing a lot. But anyway, I didn't freeze frame on a terrible shot, so let's go on. All right, next one. At least my slide is animating. Okay, so I think this is interesting because when I built the last list, this is an extra enhancement that we can take. It doesn't cost you anything, so I think that's cool.
What did you take on the weekend? Tunnel
I
Master,
took
right? Oh no, you didn't. Yeah, Sylvaneth.
Gurish Rage. Because I mean, I was Sylvaneth. I was playing Sylvaneth. For anyone who doesn't know, they can teleport.
You take
already,
it on Warsong Revenant, right?
Yes, yeah, and it won the third game for me because Jared had the Beast of Chaos. He was killing me. Yeah, he was slaughtering me. But then, just at the clutch moment, I got my D3, and I think I survived on one wound, and because of that, I could bomb him. Like, yeah, then he was annihilated after that because Warsong can actually fight, decently as well. So that was really cool for me. Now, what do you think about these? Would you pick any over others?
Well, I think that Tunnel Master is a mainstay. Just obviously, if you've got an army that has a lot of teleporting, like Sylvaneth, you don't need it. Tunnel Master is super powerful though for what we were talking about before. The battle tactics is so hard compared to last GHB, and since so many of them are surrounding Galatian champions, if you can have Tunnel Master, you can cunning maneuver basically becomes free, more or less, and it does give you the opportunity to also get the other ones, depending on the battle plan that you're playing and how your game's going. Fueled by Gurish Rage is also a good option. I think that taking it on a valuable unit like the Warsong Revenant, if they're not hiding in a tree and they're vulnerable to damage, definitely a good option. I haven't seen Stubborn. From what I can tell, the top lists I looked at, they all pretty much took Tunnel Master.
Oh, really?
So it seems to be the consensus that it is the most valuable, and you can see why. Because if you've got GC, you can keep him somewhat close to the front line. If you've got him screened, he can zip away during your next turn, as opposed somewhere to safety. And also, when the name of the game, it's battle tactics. Tunnel Master allows you to or increases your chances on successfully completing one or more battle tactics.
Yeah, then that's a good point. I think a lot of these are good, but Tunnel Master and Gurish Rage would be my favorite pick. I probably wouldn't ever pick the other three. Well, the other two, unless I'm really trying something new.
I can see how Leadership of the Alpha would be good for like a castle army that you're playing. If you really need so say like situationally, if you're playing against an Alpha Strike army, Leadership of the Alpha would be super valuable because they'd be trying to hit you on the first turn, and you can put all out defense on 3 of your units. Hopefully survive, clap them back, right? That's the only time I think that Leadership of the Alpha. But then you're basically, if they're not an Alpha Strike army, unless you have like because it needs to be one champion issuing the command. If it was that you could issue just all-out attack from multiple, then that would be it'd be a no-brainer to take Leadership of the Alpha, and it would be more of a contender. In fact, it might be the only contender. But the only situation that you would ever use it properly is in the situation where, or there might be others, but the only thing I can think of is trying to survive an Alpha Strike. I don't think you should. I don't think Stubborn the Rhinox. I can't see it ever being taken. It's very situational. It means that
when would you ever have your valuable GC sitting out there by himself or herself on 10, right? Because if you don't do that, why would you even?
Well, it's a good way to. It's a good way to get your GC. Getting a GC with a huge target on its back. Like you can.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like I mislead you. Yeah, target my GC.
There are many GCs that are so impervious to damage that they can stand for too long. And then if you go into defend the GC, then you've got more than 10 on there anyway, or there's not many GCs that want to operate alone. It's actually so counterproductive having GC away from the rest of your army, because they're meant to, be providing the heroes. They're meant to be providing command abilities and stuff like that. Most heroes work symbiotically with the rest of the army with buffs and everything else.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of a couple of Stormcast ones that I wanted to buy, but I didn't get around to it. Like a couple of them, they can just teleport everywhere. Neve Black Talon, I think she like flies. I mean, no one would ever use her anyway, but I mean, now maybe, maybe. And the Lumineth ones. Oh, okay, all right. So yeah, Tunnel Master, Fueled by Garrus Rage, probably our top picks. The other ones.
Yeah, I think Tunnel Master is the no-brainer, and Fueled by Garrus Rage is an option for teleporting armies.
Yeah. All right. Next, new artifacts. So still talking about what to build for your list, because once you've built your list, it's fun time. What do you think of these three? So Tusk Helm, Nightfly Cloak. Oh, I got a typo there. Got to fix that. How would you pronounce that?
They all have, they all have value.
Yeah.
But
Live Ward, it's back. Yeah. Right.
Live Wards, yeah. Obviously, it's like very good. Only on a Galatian champion though. It'd be a bit more valuable if it was on, if you could put it on a big monster that doesn't have a ward. I think for the most part, other artifacts are more valuable. Like other Battle Tome artifacts, and Arcane Tome is still super powerful.
Yeah.
It's still spellcasting is so powerful in the game. If you can turn a hero, give him an unbind, and also just then they have also the ability to put Mystic Shield or one of your spell laws on. It goes a lot further than I think with what you get. You get a couple mortal wounds on charge, or with Nightfly Cloak, keeping your hero off the battlefield. Sure, that means it does get sniped. It allows you to. I guess what you could do, if you took Nightfly Cloak, you could get one of the crappy battle tactics that are really difficult.
Yes.
And if you have another, and also give him Tunnel Master, so you can then get Cunning Maneuver the next turn. So using that with a combination of Tunnel Master as well, or having another GC with Tunnel Master.
Yeah, I'm thinking about another GC with Tunnel Master.
A few of these nonsense battle tactics, but I think that there are better things to take.
I agree. Yeah, I saw Tusk Helm could be interesting on some heroes that does damage on charge already. So maximizing chance to wipe someone out. I think that's kind of cool.
I saw an idea for a list using the Mega Boss on foot, which was give him Tunnel Master and also use great. This is an Iron Jaws. Then use Mighty Destroyers to use the Tunnel Master, get him close to something important, and then he moves and then charges. Definitely in. And thing is, you wouldn't give him this artifact because Iron Jaws has a better artifact, which allows him to basically delete a unit, right?
Yeah.
So, it increases his damage by like 2 or whatever. I don't know what. I'm not sure exactly. So
but
you
point
wouldn't give
taken.
him Tusk Helm,
like, why would you use this one, right? That's the point.
So
they're better ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's a situation where you would really want it, but I don't think that it's worth it.
Yeah, I think looking at this, after looking at it, I think I'll still prefer Arcane Tome most of the time. Casting is so much fun, and when it works anyway, and like you say, so powerful to give someone an unbind when you just need it. So I think, for me anyway,
When spells, like I said, spells are just so powerful in the game.
Yeah.
A ward's nice. A 5-up ward's really nice. There are other ways to get wards as well.
I think I would still prefer Arcane Tome than a 5-up ward for my playstyles anyway. Certainly.
Like in Arcane Tome, you're going to use it every turn while the hero's alive, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
5-up ward, you use it every time the hero takes damage, but the hero might not be even in danger until the third battle range, right? By that point, you've cast 2 spells. Maybe unbound 2, right? Makes terrain more valuable if there's an arcane terrain piece in your deployment. That just makes it, Anyway, whereas the 5-up ward, if it's a Gao champion, they just might be able. I'll kill everything else and then I'll kill him. Like it's a Gao champion. 9 wounds,
or usually 6, probably. All right, so that's all the list building stuff. Wow, this gone a bit more fun to discuss than I envisioned. So let's move on to the battlefield, right? Now we were talking about how to build it. Now, once we take it to the battlefield, how does it change things? I think for me, I've got a few quick points here, and then I'm going to ask Tom for a lot of pointers here because he's seen way more than me. I think based on what we've seen so far, you definitely want to look out for the Tunnel Master players. Actually, we were just talking about it because they can sneak up in the back and do some fun things. I got the second point. Unexpected revival from the Gurus Rage is a thing to look out for, especially when you're calculating for that clutch. Why I have that is it went to me went well for me last weekend. So I think that's definitely a thing. I think if Jared really thought about that, he might have done things differently. Actually, he wouldn't. Because if he successfully got it, it would be game over. So it was worth the risk. But
one thing about the Gurus Rage is it's still a 2 out of 3 chance. It's only 2, like one third of the time. It's actually useless. So I think that's why Tunnel Master will be taken more often, just because it's used, right? And it's always you don't need a roll to see if it happens.
And by the way, for the people who didn't play at Tom's event, or some people interpret the rule differently, I think you did a great job, Tom, last weekend explaining how that works. So people for units to have a ward save, you roll all your ward saves, and on the wound that you're about to die for, you roll you roll that once. So if you hit it, great. Otherwise,
you only get 2 rolls to save the life. It's like the save, and then you've got the ward. If you've got other options, you either choose the ward or something else.
Yeah. So you can't cheese that one.
I think that was in an FAQ, at least.
Yeah, was it? Oh, okay.
I'm
so glad to have you here. I didn't see that one. Okay, I think Grinding Teeth is watch out for that extended spell range, because otherwise you wouldn't really know it.
Yeah, if you're against an army with Spell Portal, do not put more than 1 unit on your home objective deployment.
And I also realized that in some desperate events, like maybe turn 4 or 5, where a lot of things are down and you're charging for that backliner because you want to delete the GC and you accidentally failed, they would bomb you to the next plane. That's something to look forward to. I mean, look out for, not look forward to. The other team would be looking forward to it. Like you try to charge them, you failed, and then they bomb you. They may kill themselves, but they can really hurt your army if you overcommit. So that's the thing. And then I don't know. I haven't seen it before, but just on paper, the no retreat and no surrender rule seems it can be dangerous because it doesn't require GC, so it can really trigger at any time. What do you think, Tom? So, do you have anything else you think it's worth looking out for in the new GC on the battlefield?
I think that I just have some general advice for players getting back into it. But it's just stuff I've said before. Just make a cheat sheet if you're learning a new army, or maybe even just make a cheat sheet for the GHB. I know most people keep it on the table, but remembering to use that, Grinding Teeth of Galay or no retreat, no surrender, just knowing that there are options, it might be a good idea. Maybe break it up into phases. I always find that useful. Anything that can speed up your games, because I think that one issue, tourneys so lately everyone's been pretty good at getting under time. There are some people who always lag over, but making sure you're able to play quickly is always important, not only with tournaments, but also I think if you've got a gaming session of 5 hours, you can either get one game in, one long game in, or you can get two, like 2.5 hour games in.
I
And
can
if it
really
looks like
speak to
you're
that
gonna,
one. Yeah.
you know,
I lost the first game to Sam because we probably spoke for about, I don't know, 60, 70 minutes before we actually played. He spent, I don't know, seems like eons explaining how OBR works because I had no clue. And then, so I played too slow and lost it one.
OBR should be getting a new book soon, so that should hopefully speed up OBR's gameplay a little bit.
Yeah.
I know how long it takes to play Sam because he's my brother and he
Oh yeah,
they are long games. Yeah, I played so much. I played against so much OBR. It's ridiculous.
Oh wow!
I've never actually beaten his OBR actually.
Oh really?
But, yeah.
And they were tough.
Okay. Other thing
what else?
So with the new GHB, if you're not sure with what lists are working for your faction, go on Best Coast pairings, look up tournaments, see who's winning, see a high ranking player, look at their list. You don't need to copy their list entirely, although it might be a good place to start from. You can take parts of their list, try and understand what they're doing with it, maybe incorporate it into what you're trying to do. And also don't keep changing your list. Like if you've got a list that you know might be working, but it might either be you or it might be the dice that's not working. Like just stick with it a little bit. Don't make huge changes so that you need to like completely adjust your strategy. If people looking to improve or play in tournaments, just get some reps in. The more games you play, the better you'll play.
Wise words. Yes.
Visit your local game store. Find players to play with.
Oh, so I heard from Bruce. You had a game with him recently. How did you find this? How did you find it? Did any of these things
which
show up?
Playing
his Skaven?
Yeah, I was playing my Sylvaneth. We actually had 2 games in the one night because he absolutely destroyed me in the first round. That being said, okay. I think it was like my 4th game of Sylvaneth. And Bruce is a veteran Skaven player, and he's done nothing but improve in the last year. His list is actually really, really quite tight right now. But we had a second game, and it went all the way to the end, and I beat him because we drew, but I got my grand strategy, so I did beat him by 3. Wow. So it was a really, really great game. Those are the games that you really want to play. The ones where you one of the players gets dumpstered in the first turn. That's not a fun game to play.
At least you can pack up and start again. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to the start of round 2. I'm like, dude, can I just concede him? It's only 7. Can we play another game? He's just like, sure. So we got 2 games in, and then we had an actually good game to practice with, and I got quite lucky in my dice rolling in the second game. So I think I had the dice on my side.
And when you played him, did any of these new Genuine Handbook stuff come into focus? It's worth mentioning.
I actually forgot to use the Grinding Teeth Guide.
Right.
Because I was just completely oblivious to it.
Yeah.
Didn't use No Retreat, No Surrender. We were just using low drop. Like, I'm not using any of the battle battalions this year because I don't think they suit Sylvaneth that much. I'm using a battle regiment and also a command entourage. So I'm taking I think I'm taking an extra spell law just so that I have options to choose from. I was taking an Arcane Tome and giving it to my Warsong Revenant just so that she would have 3 casts.
Just 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that she might be better off just having a few options instead. So now she's taking a healing spell, one healing spell, and the offensive spell from the Sylvaneth spell law. That way she can choose to bomb and snipe in the same turn. Other than that, not a ton. We were fine. I think that we found our battle tactics that we were fairly successful in our battle tactics. Especially towards the end. I ended up actually winning because, and this is something Bruce had to tell me. Sylvaneth have this battle tactic, which is you need to successfully charge after using the Sylvaneth teleport action. And I was in my brain going, it's like, oh, you're relying on a 40% with a reroll, I guess, to make that. But then Bruce was just like, well, why don't you just get Durthu after he's got his buffs to use that ability? And I was like, oh no, but Durthu teleports using a different ability. It's like, you can just use the actual faction ability for it. I was like, oh yeah. So
yeah, almost free.
and
Huh?
I'm just like, well, now I have a free Sylvaneth like battle tactic.
Yeah.
So yeah, you learn something. But yeah, I ended up winning.
Did you guys
on
use
that.
Tunnel Master? Well, I guess he doesn't. He's got the more holes, right? And you've
no,
got
he does.
the
I think he
teleport.
did. No, he did take Tunnel Master on.
Oh, interesting.
Oh God, I can't remember. No,
Okay.
I think he did take Tunnel Master. But I can't remember it being super useful because he was keeping his I think his Master Molder had Tunnel Master, but he was trying to keep him close.
Okay.
I think I just had the heal on what was it? Garish Rage on my Warsong because I'm not using Tunnel Master because I'm Sylvaneth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, we didn't. Yeah, like I said at the start of the show, I really do think that a lot of the GHB realm rules are going to be used opportunistically, and then not going to be the thing that actually defines. I think we're currently running almost a vanilla, primarily a vanilla GHB right now, where we ignore most of it. We use it sometimes if it's opportunistic. Like I'll try to keep my reminders because they are definitely things that could turn the tide in the game or give you a super advantage. But when it comes to battalions, we might see the odd one here and there. But I think for the most part, we're going to be looking at battle regiment, and warlords, and command entourages. I don't think we're going to see much of anything else.
Right. Okay. Actually, based on my experience last week, two things I'll point out is I definitely didn't remember the no retreat, no surrender. If I remembered, maybe I would have done a bit better because that's extra hit. Definitely forgot about that. And the grinding teeth, when I successfully cast it, it was devastating. So I think that's also worth mentioning. Yeah.
Well, I think that at least it's something to keep in mind defensively.
Yeah.
Because if you are
D6,
you can lose your
you can really.
If you have all of your heroes on that, they could all be gone. If you've got a lot of foot heroes, depends on the roll. It's very swingy, but still so much damage.
Yeah. Well, when it works, whew, ouch. All right. I got a simple slide here, just echoing what Tom already mentioned. I think having some aids where it's possible to help you with the new GHB, definitely worth it. So I printed one here. It's in my hands now. It's from AoS Shorts. You can just Google that, AoS Age of Sigma Shorts. And funny, it's not really short videos. It's stuff, and one of them is the War Scrolls and helpers that they have per faction. Definitely recommend it. I mean, so what I've got here is, if you see the bottom half of the battle tactics, is everything I can pick on that turn. I think super useful. Yep. Anything you want to add to this one, Tom?
Yeah, don't use whatever improve. Like I was saying before, anything that speeds up your gameplay, allows you to remember stuff, all that. Don't overdo it if you don't need it though. Like if you've got
feels like you're talking about
sometimes having just a sheet of paper to write down scores or whatever, or battle tactics, is more useful than having like some kind of custom scoreboard system that the other player doesn't know what's happening, and it might be just easier to keep a pen and paper. I think some people do overdo it a little bit too much, but as long as it improves your gameplay and it doesn't detract from the game, anything that helps.
That's true.
Eventually you shouldn't. Yeah, eventually you won't need your notes, but while you're getting used to new stuff, help is always useful.
without shooting my past self too much, I definitely have done what Tom mentioned before. When I first got in, I got way too excited, printed out everything, and bought way too much crap. And
Yeah.
not cool. A sheet like that, because now with a eliminated sheet, I can just write over it, tick, rub it out, next game, ready to go.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Coming towards the end now, which is while talking about list building and what to look out for, I thought I might share what I used last weekend. I built some of this with GC. So the first thing to note is I've actually got 5 heroes in here. Now, for the people who don't know about the Warden of the Ever Queen, I was reading that book while I was listening to the audiobook while I was painting it. So I had to fit Celestine Prime in there. So that's why he's the odd one. Had to be in there. Thematic. But the rest is just I want to fit in a couple of GCs because otherwise I can't do any battle tactics. And I needed I needed a hammer, so that's my Durthu. Now, Ladies of Vines and Celestine Prime are purely thematic because they were key characters in the in that book. But it turned out really well. So Celestine Prime did way more than I expected he would. And so did Lady of Vines, because I went for Dwindling and Narwood, Narroot, which means I get 3d6 and I get a reroll per casting. And getting that, I mean, I usually use the 3d6 for the bomb, but when I really had to, I could switch to the Lady's Vine to make sure that she gets her 5-up ward bubble for 12 inches. And that kind of won one of my games for me because I've got a Dryad on the... I should include this, but I'm doing a video... Okay, I'm going all over the place. I'm doing a video... I'm in the process of making a battle report from last week, so I get to talk about that. But I essentially had 100 points of Dryads blocking a choke point from incoming attackers because I got the 5-up ward, and the Dryads lasted 5 battle rounds. 5 rounds. Yeah.
Lady of Vines that
wow.
I mean, Sylvaneth, they don't have a ward on most of their units, so having a ward from Lady of Vines, if you can get it up, it's super powerful.
Yeah.
I feel like she is a little bit expensive for what she does, especially since her summon is not guaranteed.
I know, right? What's up with that?
Yeah, it's like... It's pretty rough.
There's not to whine about Sylvaneth, otherwise that would be another 15
That being
minutes.
said, those Celestine Prime and Durthu combo, it's pretty good. It's
I don't know, Prime seems a bit expensive. But it was so thematic. All right, but anyway, that's the
but besides themes, I think that he's actually quite a valuable unit. He's included as an ally in a lot of lists. So
yeah. So, okay, let's talk about how this relates to the new GHP. If it wasn't a new GHP, like thinking if I was making the same list a year ago, what would have changed? I probably wouldn't have stuck Arc Revenant in there if I didn't need the new GC. That was just my thinking process when I was building it. Because Arc Revenant is really to buff the hunters, and I didn't have enough hunters. I mean, that combo wasn't bad, but in hindsight, I don't think that was great. Maybe I should have picked the mage instead. Thinking back,
well, I mean, I think Arc Revenant, he's only 10 points more than Branch Witch, and he moves 12, she moves 12, and she can fly. So I think that she's a no-brainer to take.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
I think also with the Arch Revenant, I was looking at Nalroot myself. For my Sylvaneth, I ended up going with Heartwood just so that I could run Kerneth as battle line. So I'm running 6 Kerneth Hunters with sides in my Sylvaneth, and the Arch Revenant supports them because they boost them. They boost the sides.
Right. Yeah.
+1 wound. So, and then on top of that, they can also give them +1 attack.
Yes. As a command. Yep.
So it just drastically improves their durability and their offensive ability. Oh, not durability, their offensive ability.
Yeah. I think another time I must invite you back on the show to talk about how you build your Sylvaneth list, because I'll be interested to hear that. But
Sylvaneth, they're quite difficult to get the points just exact.
Just right.
I'm still learning, man, with Sylvaneth. So I'll maybe in a while.
All right.
See if I get any better with them.
I'm totally exposing myself on that. Okay, but coming back to the topic is, how did I build this list? Referring to the new GHP, really not much, right? Not much change, but I did force another GC in there because I had to. Otherwise, I might have got something else. Yeah, so I guess that's been my experience, and it worked out quite well. I think the games that I got the upper hand was I had 5 heroes, and I have to say all my other heroes, except Warsong Revenant, which was my general, seemed so much more important to kill than Arc Revenant, and it gave him a free pass in a way to do what he needs to do, which is the battle tactics. I think that was an interesting find for me. Yeah. Do you have anything to add on that, Tom?
I think that you kind of nailed it. Arch Revenant compared to when there's better targets, usually he's only targeted when he's the only option. I still like Celestin Prime in the list. I said before, Lady of Vine's a bit expensive. I hope she goes down to like 270 or something. Or all they need to do is make it so that it's not a roll for the Dryads, and then
I know, right? Why would you?
Worth 290.
Yeah. And for the people who don't know, Lady of Vine got a ability to summon a unit of 10 Dryads, which sounds really good on paper, but you have to roll a dice. It's 2+. But if you roll one,
that means
that's
that one
GG.
yeah, it just means 1/6 of the time you're not getting it, which kind of sucks.
Which is insane.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, no, Greenwood Gladiators can do it too. Yeah. I also run a Gur Battle Mage in my army just to go through the extra charge. I don't actually know if it's fully necessary because it means that instead of rolling on if I didn't have them, then I put my money in something else, maybe even like cogs, which might be an option. It means that instead of having to roll a 4, I'm having to roll a 6. And a 6 with a reroll, you're getting most of the time.
Right, okay.
So you've got the rerolls back up.
Yeah.
So I might think about that.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I have got. And I just bought a new light box, so I had to use it. Right. So anyway. And that's what we have got for today. So thank you everyone for watching. I guess in closing, if you liked any of these, drop us a comment, and we can hit those topics or whatever plastic hype, because that's what this is about. It's just fun stuff. Hopefully, bring more joy to other people. And a big shout out back to the community. So thank you, Tom, for hosting all awesome events. And,
thanks for inviting me on, mate. I hope you had a good time. Anyone in the Sydney area who wants to come to an event, just I'll leave a plug for John to put in the video, so you can check out the Facebook groups.
Yes, and in fact, do send them over to me, Tom. I'm going to put them in the show notes, so anyone who watched this later, they can always go back and find more events. So Tom is running, based on what I heard from last weekend. You announced there's going to be more events, 2 days throughout this year.
Yeah, we've got one 2-day coming April? Up in April? Middle of April. Yeah,
middle of April. So that would be. Sounds like it's going to be fun. That's too hard for me. 2 days. But I look forward to the 1 days. And got to grab those tickets early, people. They go pretty fast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, John. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, that would be great. And look, for anyone who's watching after the fact, if you're still watching, thank you. And drop us a note if you've got any suggestions. I will try to incorporate them and make our videos better. So this is the second live video this year. Hopefully more to come and better quality every time. Yep. All right. Thanks, guys. And thanks, Tom. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, mate.
All right.
Talk to you later.
I'll see you soon.